In Kenya, people live with incredible natural beauty. And incredible wildlife. Not to mention some rather dangerous wildlife. But even that's not Kenya's greatest danger. Kenya is a country of almost 54 million people, and 5.7 million cannot read or write, 10% of the population. And illiteracy in Kenya, as with most other places, is focused around poverty. After independence in 1963, Nairobi became Kenya's capital. Today, Nairobi has 15 slums. Korogocho, to the northeast of the city, is the fourth largest of these. Korogocho in Swahili means shoulder to shoulder. It was founded by people migrating to the city from rural parts in the 1960s. It borders one of Nairobi's main rubbish dumps, Dandora. We talked to the adults and children who live in Korogocho. 200,000 people pressed into just over a half square mile. Most of the women here have to look after their children and work several jobs to survive. And sometimes they don't get much help from their husbands. Risper Msemi says sometimes husbands have a weakness for other women, and that makes them forget about their children. In fact, half the children we spoke to didn't know their father's second name. So it's all left to the women. And life is not easy. Their children have to fetch water and try to find anything of value from the local dump, rather than learning to read or write. Mary Oliak is a volunteer at Miss Koch, Kenya. She also lives here in Korogocho.
Today we are going to focus on adults and children, just to get an overview of what goes around and why most children are not in school. So most residents around here work at the local market, and some of them at the dumpsite. At the dumpsite, what most of them do is they collect metals, scrap metals and plastic, and sell them in order to feed their families. We can tell that the poverty levels are too high, which may lead to not going to school and therefore not being literate.
Mary talked to residents about their lives and their hopes for their children. People here get by doing anything they can. While their children forage for metal and plastics at the Dandora dumpsite, fetch water from the river, and do as much as they can to keep the house clean.
Most residents here live below $1 a day, which makes education not a priority.
Mimi tu inanifanya karibuni inifurahisha. Nienda nyumbani, mtoto wangu hakuwa na mbali, nilikuwa na shule nitatoa pesa ya mbali nikapata, hata kupata nikasema tena shule next nitatoa pesa ya shule na nikapata tena kamuingiza shule. Sasa hiyo ndio kitu kimenifurahisha tu.
Hizo ndo zinafurahisha sana. Umefanya mpeka kufurahisha
Child mortality rates are 65% higher in the slums, than in formal settlements.
Nilianzia hapa kwa chifu, wakaniambia hii mimba yako iko na shida sana. Nikaambia Mungu nisaidie, nizae tu vizuri. Au mtoto wote nimezaa vizuri, sasa huyu ndiye anataka kuniua. Nikaambia Mungu nipe uhai. Mungu akanipea uhai, nikaenda Mama Lucy. Mungu akanisaidia, nikajisaidia mtoto kijana. Sasa hii niko sawa.
There can be problems during childbirth, and problems can certainly continue after childbirth. Fetching water from a river full of garbage, effluent, and poisonous snakes, and searching the local dumpsite, the children are dicing with illness or death on a daily basis. And almost every family has a story of a child who didn't make it.
Si kwetu tumezaliwa watoto 9. Mmoja tulikuwa tunafaa tukue 10, mmoja akapotea. Alipoteanga ilikuwa 99 hiyo time ndio alipotea.
Garbage and industrial effluent makes its way into the Nairobi River from the city and the dump site. By the time it reaches settlements downstream, like Korogocho, it is badly polluted.
Tunaishi Korogocho na ni kijiji ambacho kipo katika mteremko, so mara mingi kukinyesha sana kuna mahali ambapo maji inafikia watu.
Korogocho has a history of violence against adults and children. Residents have long seen it as unsafe and dangerous, with hustler youth gangs mugging, raping, and killing people in broad daylight.
Hata watu walikuwa wanauana saa kidogo, ukiamka tu nasikia tu watu wanapiga nduru.
Kwa kubaya ungepitia kama uko nyuma makorido.
Hiyo mimi naweza sema ni kijiji cha watu vijana, watu wanajihasolia.
Hata nilikuwa nimeanza kuogopa kuishi huku, lakini kaambia Mungu hakuna mahali naweza kosa kuishi.
And then an incredible change took place. The former gang members of Combe Green Football Club saw a different path ahead.
Kenya najua kuhusu Combe Green ilianza ilikuwa timu ya Sonko akakuja ile time walisema ameiba, akatolewa governor. Sawa, wakakuja wakaona haina haja ya kuwezi, wakakuja wakaanza kusafisha hizi mtaro, kumesha maua. Sasa ndio kaita Combe Green.
They became the volunteer group Combe Green Solutions. Combe Green went from gangs to gardens. They transformed People's Park from a dumping site and a crime hotspot into a safe place with well-manicured grass, stone paths, and trees. We asked Kenyan author and historian Michael Mwenda Katinji, what are the main reasons for children not learning to read and write?
When people are in conditions of deprivation, the first thing they want to do is satisfy their immediate needs, such as food, housing. Children in poor environments, they have to end up seeking livelihood, which drives them away from education. And the parent might want the kid to accompany them to do work, to supplement their income. And of course, that again drives them away from education.
And what are the consequences of that? How important is it to learn to read and write?
Reading and writing provides you with the basics that you build upon in life. It's the most important and basic skill. Being able to read, being able to write, of course, it opens your mind. Reading helps especially kids to develop creativity. They are able to imagine, how scenes play out. By reading, you're being forced to do something. You're not just seated there passively. You're being forced to think. You'll see opportunities that people who do not have any ability to read and write most likely not be able to see.
So we can take the inspiration of Combe Green Solutions and give the kids what they need to learn how to read and write. Encourage them to change their own lives. Mothers want this too, of course.
Ndio, ni vizuri na ni muhimu tu sana tena zaidi kufundisha watoto wadogo kuanza kusoma na hata kuandika.
Anaona mtoto hata kama asome, akienda kufika hata kama ni huko town amepotea.
Kwa sababu wakati ujao hata kama mtu anataka kwenda nyumbani, unaweza kusoma kibao, ukipewa barua unaweza soma, kupata message unasoma kama uko nyumbani akienda.
Elimu ndio kia maisha, ufunguo wa maisha wetu, ufunguo wa maisha.
Wanafundisha watoto. Nikafuata kwa dokta.
It's been proven that people learn faster if they recognize themselves and their environment in what they're reading. They will instantly become more invested. So we teach them with their own stories and let them carry on learning while they go about their daily lives. Korogocho residents come from more than 30 ethnic groups. And with those ethnic groups comes a diverse culture and folklore, like this story, which they all learned as children.
There was once a herd of elephants who went to gather honey to take to their in-laws. As they were walking along, they came upon a hare who was just about to cross the river. She said to them, "Father, please help me get across the river." And the elephant agreed to this request and said to hare, "You may jump onto my back." As hare sat on the elephant's back, she was quick to notice the 2 bags full of honey that the elephant was carrying. She started eating honey from one of the bags, and when she had eaten it all, she called out the elephant saying, "Father, please, hand me a stone to play with." So the elephant gave the hare a stone. She put it on the now empty bag, and then the hare started eating the second bag of honey. When she had eaten it all, she again requested another stone, saying, "Father, please hand me another stone, for the one you gave me has dropped, and I want to throw it at the birds." Elephant handed her another stone, and then another, until she had filled both bags with stones. When hare realized that the elephants were about to arrive at their destination, she said to the elephant, "Father, I have now arrived. Please let me down." So hare went on her way. Soon afterwards, the elephant looked at his bags, only to realize that they were full of stones. He exclaimed to the others, "Oh my goodness, the hare has finished all my honey." They lifted up their eyes and saw hare leaping away at a distance.
And that shows us that guile and intelligence overcomes size and strength. In 2022, we created a story for the children of Korogocho, the children of Kenya. It's a story about them, their families, their environment, and their lives. A story that our Korogocho children star in. James, Richard, Hiltrude, and Wesley. It's a fictional tale. It carries the vibration of Kenya and the desperation of the slums. It's a story inspired by the people of Korogocho. Samuel is a magical boy who our heroes find at the Dandora dumpsite. He takes them on a trip to different places, different times, and shows them things they would never forget. Shows them worlds they couldn't imagine. The children hoped they would get money out of it, money they badly needed, but instead they got knowledge. Can they use this new knowledge to change the lives of all their families? Dandora Boy tries to entertain and at the same time show that literacy and numeracy are all around us, all the time. Children just need to recognize it, learn to build it into their daily lives. But this isn't only a story about Korogocho and Kenya. Illiteracy is right here with us in the West, standing shoulder to shoulder with some of the most affluent people in the world. In Chicago, an estimated 882,000, or 30% of adults, have low basic literacy skills. reading below the 6th grade level. And 3.4 million New York State residents are classified as functionally illiterate, reading below the 5th grade level. Across the pond in Europe, 20 to 25% of the European population is also functionally illiterate and do not have the reading and writing skills they need to function in society. So Dandora Boy is here for everyone, wherever they are. We formed a lesson plan with our volunteers, and the teaching sessions began with our children, telling them the stories they recognize about the people they recognize, telling them their own stories. So far, the results have been astonishing. Illiteracy equals poverty. Literacy equals freedom. You can read Dandora Boy here. Teach it here. And donate here so that we can do more.
Magumba kaliba yigi kabange brava sekenya Magumba magumba kaliba yigi kabange mumpe kungalo Magumba kaliba yigi kabange brava sekenya Magumba kaliba yigi kabange mumpe kungalo Magumba kaliba yigi kabange brava sekenya Magumba kaliba yigi kabange mumpe kungalo Magumba kaliba yigi kabange brava sekenya Magumba kaliba yigi kabange mumpe kungalo Magumba kaliba yigi kabange brava sekenya Magumba kaliba yigi kabange mumpe kungalo Magumba kaliba yigi kabange brava sekenya Magumba kaliba yigi kabange mumpe kungalo